Yeah, he said it's been really good.
So I was trying
Breakout
to push,
sessions,
you
yeah.
know, think, well, what are you doing?
Right, right.
It's no good for them.
Yeah, he went to a couple of them, working with federal agencies or something like that.
Yeah.
We laughed, we do that every day.
No, that's awesome.
They have different breakout sessions.
Good. It was working good. They were really
He
pushing.
said it was really good. Yeah, he didn't like the
mic getting there.
trips. Yeah, he was in the airport for like 7 hours. I think. They kept telling me.
They probably picked the middle of the country just for you to get somewhat,
Yeah.
because it's gonna be a national thing, right? So it's
Yeah,
everybody.
right.
Hey Jim, should I
Yeah, the
roll
only
on
problem
this?
with us is no direct flights. You gotta come to some other airport.
Looking like a true
Far,
photographer.
whatever.
I gotta go.
Sure.
I think I told my wife,
Yeah.
I might
We
take the
flew into
bus.
Chicago.
This comeback should have said no, do what you normally do.
Probably Monterey, because there's only like a couple direct flights, so I might have to go like.
Hope you guys got that on the East Coast.
To get in there.
Yep. We went to San Francisco and someplace else.
And the days go by.
8 times Chicago.
What's that? That airport is, you know, it's pretty easy to navigate, at least I have. Hello. I think everybody's here, that's gonna be.
I think so. There's somebody here from Spectrum News, Maine Public Radio, Foreign Press Herald, the 3 TV. But Herald said they were saying a photographer, but I haven't seen them. I told them we couldn't recommend. So, but yeah, it's goes. Give them a minute and then.
Yeah.
Just as soon as, yeah.
Check, check, audio check.
Just making sure they don't shoot in the rain.
You guys need anything tested? Everything good? Mic's working? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes.
Yeah.
We're gonna bring out interim assistant chief Robert Martin. Will be handling most of this press conference. So that's who will be here in just a minute.
Summer Keller, that's actually Mark Keller. Yeah, they have Summer and Mark.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a whole mark.
Told you Keller's all right.
Yeah, reception okay?
Yeah, he says.
You're next to a window. So it's about
His
live.
fans and things.
Anything wanted to just, keep making it a long, short, and everything good. Mike's working.
I stopped at, I made a traffic stop, it's like Jess Brown, Cleveland, Keller.
Yeah.
Make sure you get the tan for the door.
Yeah, I'm actually starting on the door. On the doorknob. Yeah. Yep. I think we're good to go. Yep.
Hello, everybody. You guys all set to go?
All right. We have good news today. 2 people have been indicted and are in custody for the 2008 murder of Frank Williams. Frank Williams was a 37-year-old when he was beaten and stabbed on the Fox Street soccer fields on August 16th, 2008. Our detectives have been actively working to solve his murder, and on Friday, December 8th, the grand jury arose and handed down indictments charging 2 individuals with his murder. Shane Hall and Khang Tran are charged with murder. Hall and Tran are both currently incarcerated and serving sentences for crimes not related to this murder. We'd like to also remind the public that there is currently a $10,000 reward still being offered by the FBI, and it covers for the arrest and conviction of any individuals involved in this crime. And there's a number at the bottom of your press release documenting where they can find that tip line. The chief and I would like to acknowledge the hard work of our detective division in solving the murder of Frank Williams. We hope this helps his family find closure knowing that someone will be held accountable for his death. This is the 4th unsolved homicide brought to the grand jury since August of 2020. Our detectives have been able to charge 6 people who were responsible for the deaths of 4 individuals in cases that go back to August of 2008. The dedication, hours of work, and skill of the primary detectives and evidence technicians is what led to these indictments. I want to emphasize that they could not have accomplished this without the support of the other detectives that covered their workload while they dedicate almost 100% of their time working on these cases. Unsolved homicide cases are never closed. They always remain assigned to an investigator and are routinely reviewed as new forensic testing techniques are available or new leads are developed. Several of these cases need that one witness to corroborate information we might already know. I want to add too that most of these cases, the original detective, original evidence technicians have retired. So the detective who picks up this case spends a considerable amount of time getting up to speed and identifying what needs to be done. So these are very labor-intensive investigations. With that said, the Portland Police Department is asking the public for their help by providing information that will help our detectives solve our remaining 12 unsolved homicide cases. The homicide of Mary Ann Darragon is our oldest case, and it has gone unsolved for 38 years. The death of 2-year-old Serena Toll, our youngest victim, has been unsolved for 29 years. Each of our victims have family, people that love them, and they are asking for answers. We are sure that someone has a piece of information that will move these cases forward and allow us to give these families closure. That said, I can take a few questions to clarify something, but I'm not going to be able to get into details about any case. So, Mal?
I know that from the very beginning, Portland Police believed that a number of individuals were involved. You noted that there is still an FBI reward for information leading to an arrest and a conviction of others who may involve. Do you believe that there are others involved in this murder still at large?
I can't talk about those details, but we know that there were other people there, and we would like anybody that was there to come forward and corroborate the information that we already have and solidify our indictments, and when we go to trial, to have those available to help get a guilty verdict in this case.
This past summer, during the 15th anniversary of this case, we covered a story, and I think it may have come from somebody, one of the police officers.
Yes.
May have been you. Someone has that crucial piece of info that could solve this case.
Right.
And asking people to come forward. Did somebody come forward between August and now?
Again, I can't talk about the details until the affidavit is unsealed for this. But I can tell you that if a person thinks they have information, let us decide if it's important or not. One of the problems is I think people might hear something, it might be third hand. It's important to let us know because it might corroborate something else that we're being told. So nothing is too small, and I've always said this, let our detectives determine whether or not it's a critical piece of evidence, and we'll vet it out and use it if we can.
Or was it a small piece of evidence that...
I can't comment about that right now.
Were these people who have been arrested and now charged and indicted, were they known to police at any point earlier on in the investigation?
I can't talk about their past history, but they had connections to the city of Portland. And like I said, I can't talk about past history with these individuals, but...
Where are they now, the two people?
They're incarcerated. I don't know the exact location for Khang Tran, but Shane Hall is incarcerated in a Maine prison system.
And you talked about the dozen unsolved homicides that are still out there. What is the message to those families that are still waiting for justice? I mean, this goes to show that even 15 years, you've been able to move on this.
Right.
What's the message to the other families?
They are never closed. When I first became detective lieutenant, I would get calls on a regular basis, anniversaries of deaths, and the family were always concerned that their case was forgotten. And I can assure them it hasn't. We always have people. We just had a new lieutenant in our detective division. One of the first things we do when someone takes over is we sit down and discuss these cases and determine if they're, what their solvability, where we put our resources. And we talk about these several times a year. We sit down as a group and we say, where are we? What do we have to do? do we leave this case for now and go to another one? And I can tell you right now is we're going to the next one. I'm confident in our detectives that we have leads on several cases that we can work on. And again, just a small piece of information might be what gets us over that finish line.
And along those lines, has your department spoken with the Williams family to let them know that these
We did.
indictments? Well, how did that conversation?
Yeah.
Can you tell us about
Yep.
that?
Well, the delay in this is because we met with the Williams family Friday night, and we always try to interact with the family. As we became close to an indictment, we were meeting with the Williams family, and we have to unfortunately keep stuff close to our chest. But what we tell them is that we're working on it, and that we're going to need their help in the future. And we've met with several victim families, over the course of the past year. And I would love to be able to, bring closure to every one of those families. We have to do these one at a time. Like I said, this investigation has, been going since 2008. And during the COVID years, we were fortunate, and the chief of police at the time said, let's dedicate 2 detectives full time. And we did that. And that's why we have these closures over the last 4 years. We're still dedicating resources. And we're having our other detectives in a very, strapped unit, pick up the slack. The last year we've had 70+ shootings in the city of Portland. We've had, I think it's 6 murders in the last year and a half with arrest. And, we currently have a trial going on. These cases are incredibly intensive in manpower. I'd love to have our detectives here right now, but we've got 4 or 5 in the court right now, and we've got others on, other assignments.
In that vein, I know that there's 12 additional homicide cases that are listed as unsolved. What about Nicholas Gardner, who was murdered in January of this year? Has his case been solved?
It's not considered an unsolved. An unsolved is after 2 years of open. His case is still considered active.
I know from the very beginning there wasn't a lot being said about exactly why he was at the soccer fields. I know at the time police said that he may have known his attackers and that it may have been drug related. Do you believe that's still the case, that this was drug related?
Yeah, again, I can't comment about the details of the investigation and those facts. I'm not sure what was released in the past, what was speculation, what was accurate. But I can just say that, regardless of what happened and it caused his death, there's never a reason to kill somebody, unless it's self-defense. But, murder of an individual, regardless of what they're doing, is a murder, and we investigate it.
What lessons are you taking from the breakthroughs in this case and applying it to other unsolved murders?
Yep. I think one of the things, we talk about is that, and the Attorney General's is, kind of that all-hands approach. We initially have a homicide, we pull everybody. Everyone's working overtime until, that 24 to 48 hour period where we can maybe take a break and slow things down, and then we start to schedule it a little differently. For cold case investigations, we look at new forensic techniques. Every year something new comes out of a laboratory somewhere. In the past, we've sent bullet casings to Scotland Yard because they developed a forensic technique for recovering fingerprints. DNA has advanced over the years. Electronic technology, computers and cell phones, things like that. We have a number of officers that are being trained on digital forensics. We have a number of officers that are trained. Our evidence lab is, quite honestly, I feel second to none in processing these scenes. And we're well respected in the state, and we give them training. We just recently we had one of our evidence techs go to a body farm and to learn decomposition rates, things like that. Blood spatter school we had here where 4 of our evidence technicians went to it, along with some patrol technicians. We invest in their training, and I think that's one of the big things is having people properly trained and properly in tune with best practices and Getting information from other investigators is incredibly important, and we do that. One of the other things, too, is when we took this over and changed the approach, for years the department had a core group of homicide investigators. And when I took over the unit, one of the things that we did is we changed that. And we said, who has the best skill? You know, they might be a property crime detective. We changed that, and we started having people look at the cases, a new set of eyes, a different look, you know, younger officers with different kinds of training. And I think that's one of the reasons we're here today with these 4 cases. We have sent detectives across the country, you know, to follow up one lead, where in the past it might have been, you know, cost prohibitive. And we didn't look at it that way. We looked at it as it's an investment in just trying to solve the case. And there's been a number of times, like I said, we've sent detectives to California, Western Pennsylvania, Florida, to meet with that one witness that we thought we might have to talk to. Sometimes it's valuable, sometimes it isn't. And that's part of this, is you know, you'll have the failures along with your successes.
Without divulging too much with your conversation with family, were they appreciative of the department, and did they ever give up hope?
I think they're appreciative. You know, there's always the, you know, skepticism, you know, just why did it take so long? You know, why wasn't I informed? You know, so it'll take a while, I think, for it to set in with them. But we have a victim witness advocate. Her full-time job is, you know, the anniversary of homicide deaths, you know, is to reach out to family and to make sure, you know, that they know that we're still looking at it. We put these on social media so that they're always in the forefront. And, you know, we try to have conversations, like I said, you know, if we can't do it every year, we try to do it on the anniversaries as best we can, is to meet with the victims' families and let them know that we haven't forgot about them. And if we change detectives on a case, we let them know immediately.
I was gonna ask too, we reported he was the father of 2 when he was killed. I'm curious how old the kids are now, and what's that like for officers or detectives who are to share that information with the family who have been sort of waiting for these breaks?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know the aspects, but I would think it's been 15 years, so they're probably young adults or teenagers now. And it's hard to say, you know, what the family dynamics are, but I can tell you that we have some victims' families that were 2 and 3 years old when their parent was killed, and they mostly want to know about them, and then they, you know, it's kind of second, they want to know where we're going and what we're doing. They want to be kept apprised of what we're doing.
What is it like for you, though, to go and tell these families, this is one of 13,
Right.
you still got 12 more, but it must make you, you know, what do you feel when you're able to bring some sort of closure here?
I think just as a detective, as a police officer, you know, having a homicide arrest is, you know, one of those unicorns. I mean, it just doesn't happen a lot. And to be able to especially solve a cold case, you know, and be able to look the family in the eye, it's very important. And it's a mixture. It's a, you know, after we tell the family, the work starts. These homicides are more labor intensive after an arrest is made, and you know their job isn't done. And you know, and we've got, you know, other homicides on the books, potentially more crimes coming, and that's why I think it's really important that we, you know, isolate a couple of detectives to work on these full time.
I know you can't comment on the case specifically, but would you say it's a fair assessment to say that the breakthrough in this case is because of the department's access to newer technologies or new opportunities that you mentioned earlier?
I couldn't say that with this for sure, what aspect it played, but I think the devotion and dedication of the detectives is what made this come to fruition. They have sacrificed family time of their own to make this happen. I come in on a weekend and I see my detectives in their office when they're not supposed to be there. I see people, you know, there till 9, 10 o'clock at night when they should have been home at 4 or 5. It is the dedication, devotion that they do. And like I said, the chief and I and the command staff are so proud of our people, and we can't, you know, we can't thank them enough. Money's not enough, you know, to thank them.
Do you know when their next court appearances or their first court appearance is gonna be?
I don't. It'll be complicated because of their incarceration. The Attorney General or the courts would be able to provide you with the information.
Can we ask the chief a few questions, Brad? Is he prepared?
Sure.
Doesn't mean he's gonna answer.
Yeah, I don't know how helpful I'm gonna be, but I'll see what I can do. I will say, it kind of a follow-up on your question is that there's a great sense of pride, obviously, when you kind of come to a conclusion and solve these and actually bring charges. So the detectives dedicate a significant amount of time. So obviously, it's a big relief that they're making progress, or they've actually come to the point where they can actually charge somebody. So there is a great deal of pride in their work. I mean, it's their work, right? And they spend a significant amount of time on this. I mean, obviously since 2008 for this case. So, and I think they're very happy to share that with the family. And I would hope that the family is appreciative of it. Obviously, I'm sure they are. But it does take time to sink in for them too. Obviously, it's been quite a long haul for them.
And you've only been here a short time. What's your impression of the department?
It's as good a department as anywhere. The detectives work incredible hours, and this is a perfect example. Cold cases are so hard to solve for so many reasons. One of the lessons learned is it's invaluable, the partnerships that we have, the federal partnerships that we work with daily make a huge difference in our success in cases like this, with the FBI putting up reward money, right? So, I don't know ultimately what their interest is other than to support us, right, for that. So those kind of relationships are very important. But it's a great police department. It's some extremely professional officers, start to bottom to top, and our detective unit is, they are overloaded with work, and they take it very, very normally. It's a normal day for them to have multiple cases going and some pretty serious ones. So I'm very impressed with the police department.
Did the FBI play any other role in the investigation other than putting out the reward money?
I do not know. I have. I'm not
I
sure.
couldn't say on this investigation specifically, but they play a considerable role in almost every violent crime we have in the city of Portland. We have a task force office that's in our department, and we worked with them. They're kind of a force multiplier for us, and we work with them. We have an task force agent assigned to them.
We have time for one more quick one if anybody's got a question. Mal?
Is this the same, I'm gonna pronounce his name right, Tran? Is he the same person who was charged in connection with the death of Matthew Blanchard in Portland in 2012?
Yes, he is.
All right.
All right.
Thank you guys
Thank
all
you very much. Appreciate it.
I will add one thing too. The work of the detectives that preceded the current ones is what set the foundation for this success. Our people have done amazing work for years. Thank you.
Google was working.